Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hey, welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Milan Singh, with us, all the way from my favorite city, New York. If there is a city that somebody has to kind of the first name that would come up if you have to say the word city is New York, and many times just the word city just means New York. So without without any further delay, let's get started. I'm very excited to learn more about Milan Singh and know more about his journey. So, Milan, share your secrets. Tell us how you got started and what are you doing now?
Sure. I think I should pinpoint. I have a somewhat controversial opinion that New York City is the only real city in the United States. So just to piggyback off how you started there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I grew up in Phoenix, which is not a city. It is a
Oh,
very big suburb.
yeah.
Um, and I spent most of my life there until about 2 years ago. Uh, Went to ASU for college, ended
Hmm.
up starting a tech career in Phoenix, but the
Hmm.
tech scene in Phoenix is not exactly that great. No shade to my hometown, but it's not New York or San Francisco. Let's put it that way. Um, After a couple of jobs where wasn't super fulfilling, I ended up deciding I wanted to be in startups. I actually got a job as the second employee at a cloud security startup that was mostly based in San Francisco, but I was remote from Phoenix with the plan to move to New York. I was already planning on doing that at that point.
Yeah.
And then I moved to New York, little
Hmm.
more tumbling, a couple other startups, and I ended up at this company called Pinwheel, which is a embedded payroll connectivity fintech platform. Uh, it's a great little company, Series B, um, and I have really gotten to do. I think it's aligned well with my career goals, where it's a small company, I have good impact. I've been promoted to a leadership role, which is something I've wanted for a while.
Hmm.
Um, it's just kind of really lined up very well. And I love living in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I know Phoenix always has just as you mentioned, it feels like a very big suburbs. And the first time I went there, I thought I was in the city, and they were like, no, there's like I think what, five more downtowns?
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, yeah, I can see them now.
Yeah. Phoenix is a multimodal. There's like three or four downtowns,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're all small. They're like three or four small downtowns spread out.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's actually a good model. It won't get as congested to go in one place, like everyone driving in the same direction. There will still be traffic. Don't get me wrong, but it won't be as crazy as New York traffic or any other larger cities. So
Yeah. It's not LA. It will be, but it's not that yet.
yeah, yeah. So tell us, like, are you still focused on security, or it's more of the leadership roles now?
Well, I think in terms of sort of well, obviously my company, it's a fintech company, so security is an important aspect of the company. Like we take a lot of pains to make sure our user data is safe and
Hmm.
all of that stuff because we're dealing with PII and financial data.
Yeah.
Um, but my personal, I think, interests lie in just continuing to go down that leadership path. I think that I've been coding since I was a kid. Like I
Yeah.
discovered it at like 10 years old.
Yeah.
Um, I really enjoy it. I think I will always do it in some capacity.
Hmm.
But I'm also interested in like expanding my impact beyond just the code that I write,
Hmm.
but like truly understanding how we build effective engineering teams that can deliver good outcomes. Like how can we connect the code we're supposed to do with actual business outcomes? Like we're not
Hmm.
just coding for the sake of coding, we're coding to create something that's valuable to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Um, and so I'm interested in following those paths and continuing to deepen not just technical expertise, but sort of more broader like business expertise and product expertise and how you connect those things together.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, the sort of goal here is long term, the VP engineering, CTO type archetype.
Yeah. Sweet, makes sense. And tell us a little bit more about Penville. Uh, you did mention it's a fintech based kind of driven company. So what does it do?
Yeah, so we provide the very simple version is we're like Plaid, if you're familiar with Plaid, except we connect users with their payroll accounts rather than their bank accounts. So our customers are banks, financial institutions, some fintechs, um, neobanks, all this kind of thing. And they have like solutions they want to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get people's direct deposit to their account. They want to provide incentive programs to do direct deposit. They want to
Mm-hmm.
provide uh, some companies want to do lending that is based on how much you're paid, income verification.
Mm-hmm.
So they use our product as an embedded SDK in
Mm-hmm.
their product where it pops up and there's, as a user, as an end user, I'm like, what's your payroll account? I find my
Mm-hmm.
payroll account, log in. In the background, Pinwheel is pulling your data, maybe running a direct deposit switch if that's the experience we opened with, um, and then sending all that information back to our customer, the bank, on the back end.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And like how you mentioned you're at Series B right now, right? So like how has the growth been?
It's interesting because I think the growth hasn't gone exactly how we thought it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been there very long, so I'm getting a lot of secondhand knowledge over time. But the company is actually fairly small. It's only about 40 people at the moment. Um, Probably aiming to get up a little closer to 50
Mm-hmm.
in the next 12 months or so. Um, but they went through some product. Well, it took a little while to find some product market fit. We have
Mm-hmm.
a good product now. Customers like what we're doing, and our sales cycle is accelerating,
Mm-hmm.
which is great and exciting. But it's interesting in that it is a smaller company than you think it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. So and majority of your customers will be like larger banks, right? If I understand.
It's a mix of like fintechs, like I think the big names are like Current and Varo and MoneyLion.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Robinhood Gold is going to be powering their direct deposit switching experience with us when they launch
Mm-hmm.
their bank account later this year. It was actually a project I worked on.
Nice.
And then we have some like more uh, mainstream financial institutions. We don't have any of the big banks just yet. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, we'll land a couple of those, but we have a pretty good long tail of smaller banks. There's actually a lot of banks just in the U.S. Believe it or not, there's like 5,000 banks in just the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's not even counting like if we did some in Canada or some in other countries, which is always a possibility. So we have like a good long tail of smaller banks, and then there are some like medium-sized ones, although I cannot remember one off the top of my head for you, unfortunately. But we started out with the fintech persona, and then we've been expanding to banks.
Makes sense. Yeah. So tell us like about your journey. Like you did mention you started off from ASU, worked in Phoenix for a few years, and then moved to New York. But uh, how easy is it to make this transition from going on from hands-on to management to leadership? Like if somebody wants to pursue this career, what does it take to be successful?
Yeah, it's a good question. I spent a lot of time figuring that out. The first thing I'd say is that it will take time, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think it is a good idea to jump into leadership before you like know how to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be the best in terms of tech. You don't have to be the best programmer ever to be a good leader by any
Mm-hmm.
means, but you should definitely be a competent one.
Right.
You should be pretty proficient at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So I started in web development technically I started in game design, and then I pivoted to web development during college because
Oh,
of the job market.
yeah.
Um, game design, it's something I love, but just the industry was not. I didn't love the way the industry worked, and I didn't love the fact that I would have had to move to another city,
Mm-hmm.
which I wasn't ready to do at the time. But anyways, I started in web development, and then just over time, kept building expertise. I started in a job that I would say was fairly easy. I mean, it was like marketing web development, so there wasn't like a huge ceiling. It's not as complex as app development. And then
Mm-hmm.
I moved to like an e-commerce type role. It's a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more complicated. Is hotel booking e-commerce for one of the major hotel brands, and then I went full startup. So that's full SaaS software,
Mm-hmm.
and I sort of stayed in my front end domain mostly, and then started branching out to a little bit of back end expertise too. Try to
Mm-hmm.
fill out my skill set a bit. And then I kept going down that path, and then I had a short stint at another role, and then Pinwheel. Um, both cases where I have expanded the back end side of my skill set a bit more. And these last couple of years, I've also had this mind of like, all right, I'm going towards leadership. Like I know I'm going to be ready for that role soon, you know? And so what do I need to get there? And
Mm-hmm.
I did a combination of I had a P0, the company I joined where I was employee number two. One of the co-founders was my boss, obviously. He was a good mentor for me in developing some of those skills. I still talk to him every few months, and he
Mm-hmm.
gives me some mentorship. Um, so that's valuable if you can find that, especially if you have a boss who is
Right.
on your team
Mm-hmm.
and will help find opportunities for you. That helps a lot. And also, when I came to Pinwheel, uh, that job that I said I had a short stint at, I didn't have that,
Mm-hmm.
and there were a lot of other problems. But that was really lacking, and that was a big reason why that just didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I couldn't grow in that environment. Whereas on the other side with Pinwheel, I joined a team with a very senior staff engineer who
Mm-hmm.
was sort of acting as the manager for the time. There was a leadership vacuum, which is what I ultimately filled on my team. But I had the senior engineer who has a lot of experience, like 20 years of experience, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and had been a leader in the past. He'd been a manager, he'd been a director of engineering in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but he wanted to go back to being an IC. Uh, but he was and is he's still there. Um, he's really great, and he was really generous and had a lot of good advice. And also, when I told him like, "Hey, I kind of want to do this," he was like, "Okay, well, I don't want to do it. I would love to find someone else to do it."
Yeah.
And so we sort of started that process, and he was very much a collaborative partner. So all that rambling to say that you know you take time to build expertise and get good at what you do. I have a lot more confidence in my skill set today than I did even a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you find some people along the way who can be good mentors, or who, especially a boss who will give you opportunities to try new skill sets. Because going into leadership and management, it's a new skill set,
Yeah.
and you have to find ways to get some exposure or experience so that
Mm-hmm.
when you are made a manager, made a leader, you're not just thrown into the deep end where you don't know what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
So fortunately, I've had a couple bosses who have had the capacity to give me that kind of exposure
Mm-hmm.
over the years, and that helped me adapt much more easily. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a huge leap for me to land in this role, and
Mm-hmm.
things I'm still figuring out. Don't get me wrong, but um, I don't feel like I never felt like I was drowning,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just in part because there was a lot of preparation that went into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that you're in the senior leadership role, do you ever miss out saying, "Hey, I wish I was still being an individual contributor," or do you ever feel like saying, "Hey, I wish other aspects of being an individual contributor that you miss?"
Um, kind of. I the role that I'm in now is a bit of a hybrid. So I have a fairly small team. I got four reports at the moment. So I still do some coding as well.
Okay.
I get to do both. I will say that the challenge has been that the way that my schedule is built as a manager is different than the way it's built as an IC.
Yeah.
So I have to find different ways to be able to still effectively code.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the same like large blocks of uninterrupted time
Yeah.
that I did.
Yeah.
And it's not even just a calendar thing. Like obviously my calendar has a lot more stuff in it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's all the little things in between that. It's all the the number of Slack pings I get
Mm-hmm.
is like 5 times greater than it
Yeah.
was as an IC.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that because that will like distract you when you're in the middle of
Yeah.
something.
And the priority of messaging might be different, right? Saying, hey, this has to be addressed right now versus a Slack message when you were an individual contributor will be like, okay, I'm doing something. I'll look at it when I finish. Versus
Right,
this interrupt now might be like a high priority interrupt saying something
right.
needs your attention right now.
It's much more likely for whatever I get now to be like, all right, I probably should address that in the next 30 minutes rather than
Yeah.
like when I feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. So tell us a little bit more about like what does it mean to kind of transition between the cities? Are you looking uh, long term to be where you are, or how like just location wise? Like, are you uh, like this? It's a big transition. Like Arizona to New York is a very different place. So, like, how are you liking it?
Yeah. I mean the so upfront I'll just say I love living in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered like give or take 3 years ago that I actually was really into urbanism
Mm-hmm.
and urban living and sort of the design of our city spaces and how that affects like your quality of life.
Yeah.
Um, and along the lines started becoming kind of like anti-car, pro transit,
Yeah.
pro walking, and walkability. And you know, obviously, like once I started learning about this stuff, which was just basically the result of a YouTube rabbit hole. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I got a video here and there. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and then just kept going. Um, but as a result of that, of course, I realized like, oh yeah, Phoenix is not built the way that I want my city to be built.
Yeah.
And so then it was kind of a matter of deciding what to do. Like I knew I needed to go somewhere, and I wasn't exactly sure up front. And I happened to, through some circumstance, ended up in New York for a while. I have some family who lives here, so I came as an adult for the first time in like a decade, like well over a decade, and it was just a very different experience as an adult. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I think this might actually be the place. And I decided after not too long, I was like, all right, I think I'm going to make this happen. And making that decision to move is far and away, hands down, the best decision I've ever made in my
Mhm.
life. Not even close. Like the next best thing is like way below it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's everything from like just it's more alive. Like there's so many more opportunities. Like from a career perspective, there's so many more opportunities. Like there's
Yeah.
much more upside here.
Yeah.
Um, so that's obvious. It's
Yeah.
not as good as San Francisco, but it's probably the second best place you can be in the country.
Yeah.
Um,
I think every
but
single major metro has like a diversity of careers, right? Like, uh, if you're in a Phoenix is a pretty large place, but if you're in like a very small city, there may be like one employer, one industry, and obviously there will be like other careers like restaurants and all the other careers, but majority everything depends on that one thing. Versus in a
yeah,
well-established city, there is just a diversity of careers.
yeah, and Phoenix, to its credit, like I think it has a pretty good sort of advanced manufacturing industry.
Yeah.
So if someone was like really into that, that's not a bad place to live. Um, and there is some sort of tech arms of non-tech companies, which
Mm-hmm.
is kind of an interesting place to be. I think I worked for Choice Hotels there, which is Choice Hotels, obviously not a tech company, it's a
Yeah.
hotel company,
Yeah.
but their tech headquarters was in Phoenix.
Right. Yeah.
And it's an interesting place to be because depending on the company, you are kind of looked like a cost center.
Oh
So
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not really valued the same way as you'd be
Yeah.
valued as in a tech company where your
Yeah.
product is what you do.
Yeah.
Um, but that is a significant presence in the valley, and there's a few other things too. Obviously ASU is big. Is a big employer and also a huge college with a lot of people.
Mhm.
But in New York, like obviously you got finance, you've got media, you've got art, you've got tech, got a whole
Healthcare.
bunch of yeah, I got a whole bunch of
Very big in New York.
major industry, real estate, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I really love living here for a lot of reasons. It's also been good for me just personally. Like the city has energy. I'm just happier. Like
Yeah.
I'm
And
walking more, I'm healthier, and I've met someone here who may be my future person, which was one of the things that I was kind of hoping would happen if I moved here.
yeah, that's really cool. Yeah,
Um,
congratulations. So yeah. And
yeah.
do you like have any pets or any other hobbies?
Yeah, I have a cat named Jazz. My girlfriend has a couple cats as well. They're starting to well, we're working on getting them to get along with each other. Um, in terms of hobbies, I play ping pong. I do some amateur tournaments. Um, I'm not like crazy good, but compared to the general public, obviously, I put a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I do that, and then I have a little side project with my brother. It's a racing sim racing e-commerce uh
Tell us a
business.
little bit more about that. Like what is sim racing e-commerce?
Sure. So this is not live yet, but we're getting close to launching. But it is a site. So sim racing is simulated racing. So it's the people who have like the sort of cockpit setup and they're playing
Mm-hmm.
like F1 video game or something on that
Mm-hmm.
big setup with multiple monitors and a wheel and all pedals and all the whole thing. Um, so this is like a realm that my brother's really into.
Mm-hmm.
He's into racing, sim racing. He's been a sim racing Twitch streamer for like 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and has a bunch of friends in that industry, has made a lot of connections and stuff. And putting together your own rig for doing this is just this process that requires a lot of research. There's a lot of like, you'd open up like 20 different tabs, like
Yeah.
doing comparing different products and stuff. And we sort of had this idea of what if we could just bring it all into a single website
Mm-hmm.
where this website gives you some guided, uh, not exactly tutorials, but like guided quizzes to help you find the right products for
Mm-hmm.
your thing and make sure all those products are compatible with each other,
Yeah.
which they're not all necessarily compatible with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we would partner with vendors in the space who sell this equipment and
Mm-hmm.
sell their equipment for them on our site.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Initially, I was like, it felt like, let's see who is able to spend more money online. Like, let's race to how we can spend more money on e-commerce. But yeah, I think now I make understand like it's uh the integration of different uh components and parts together, and like being able to like make it easier for somebody trying to build a rig.
yeah, yeah. And it's a full custom e-commerce build.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just I evaluated a few vendors and no one really had a sort of multi-vendor. It's kind of like an Amazon Lite on the back
Mm-hmm.
end because these vendors are other businesses. We
Yeah.
don't have any inventory. We don't do any fulfillment. We
Yeah.
just work with them we use their inventory, their fulfillment. Um, so I have to build. basically a mini Amazon on the back end, and then I
Yeah.
have this front end builder experience for users.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. And so going forward, where like I would say 5 or 10 years down the line, do you see yourself in that role of the VP and the CTO?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll have to see how it all comes together, but I think if we're talking like 5 years, I think certainly we're at the director level by then.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, VP is not out of the question. It sort of depends on how. I think it depends on how quickly I adapt to the changes. I think like going from IC to manager has not been a huge leap because it's really just more breadth to the role, and you're thinking about your team, and but it's not like in some sense it's not really fundamentally different from what I
Mm-hmm.
did as an IC because this is particularly because as an IC, I made sure to pay attention to like what is the impact of the work I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
How does this affect the product? Where does this build business value? Like I still thought of those questions even as an IC.
Mm-hmm.
And so going from that to manager, it's a lot of the same questions. It's just on a wider scope. So instead of just being about my projects that I'm doing, thinking about the projects the whole team's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking a little bit further ahead, not that much further ahead, because I was still thinking ahead as an IC. I
Mm-hmm.
was still thinking 2, 3, 4 months ahead. I'm thinking maybe just slightly further ahead, maybe like 6 months ahead now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and where I'm at, my role is not as a manager. It's not like someone above me says this is what we're doing, and I just have to execute it. I am co-creating what we're doing also.
Mm-hmm.
So that is even sort of going like bleeding into the director type persona where you're creating the strategy of like what are we actually going to do.
Mm-hmm.
um, I am contributing partly to that, so I think it's going to come down to once I get that opportunity to make that next step wherever it's going to be, however that works out, how quickly do I adapt to that role?
Mm-hmm.
And if I adapt to it fairly quickly like I did with this one, then yeah, 5, 6 years from now it would not be too crazy to think that maybe I have a connection. It's like we got a VP engineering role opening up, and I can get an interview and land that job or something of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. That wouldn't be crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I wish the very best. I think it's a great career path to reach there. I think a lot of people actually wish that they will be there, but I see that you are already on the track and on the path to get there. So I really applaud that progress that you're making.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So as we conclude this episode, like, is there something else that you would like to share with the audience?
Um, well, for those who do work in tech, and I imagine a good number of them do, uh, there's two things that I have experienced that have, in particular, like I felt made me more successful.
Mm-hmm.
The first was when I finally decided to learn data structures and algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
I held off on doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
And then when I finally did, and not like I'm a lead code genius or anything, I haven't really done a lot of lead code, but I found a couple of resources that really explained how data structures work in
Mm-hmm.
just a way that's very simple and easy to understand.
Yeah.
And once I did that, my technical ability almost immediately increased like twofold
Mm-hmm.
because I just had this new set of tools that I could use.
Mm-hmm.
I could build things I could have never built before. Like
Yeah.
very briefly at a company, that company I worked at very briefly. I built a workflow automation system for us. I was building a CRM product for them, and I
Mm-hmm.
built their automation, which you'd see in like a typical CRM, like a customizable workflow automation system.
Yeah.
You'd see a typical CRM. I built that for them. I would not have been able to do that had I not known
Yeah.
how graphs and trees work, because graphs and trees and recursion was built into how that whole thing worked. And it's
Yeah.
the reason it was elegant and worked really well. It was the highest quality thing in the entire code base, hands down.
Yeah.
Um, so that was number one. Don't skip that if you're in tech. You
Yeah.
will learn a lot. And then number two is when I realized, and I made this discovery when I worked in that small startup, because I was in customer calls. I was like right next to the business.
Mm-hmm.
Understand the business context of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You are not just coding for the sake of coding, or you are not just managing a team of engineers for the sake of managing a team of engineers.
Mm-hmm.
You are doing it for the sake of building business value, and you should understand how the work you do ladders up to the business value your company is trying to deliver, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's your company as a founder or whether that's a company you work for.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if you can successfully do that, if you can attach the work you do to value for the business, you become immediately so much more valuable.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it makes it much more easy to advance, get promotions, get raises, make more money, move
Mm-hmm.
to a job where you make more money, or start your own company. If that's something you want to do, like if you can show how you achieved value, it's going to be easier to find investors and get off the ground. And you'll have the skill set built in so that when you need to do those early customer calls and get people to sign and pay you money for your early product, it will be a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't definitely invest in that side of the role.
Makes sense. Yeah, yeah, that's extremely valuable. Thanks for sharing that. And as we come close to end of this episode, I think this was extremely valuable. Like being able to learn the right things is more important than actually learning it, right? Like it's easy to learn something that just interests you, but learning that you should always do that as a hobby, but in parallel also realize like what is going to advance your career, the things that are really important for the job. uh, uh, get advice from mentors like who are going to guide you in the right direction and actually execute on them, right? Like learning the data structures and learning the importance of the functional aspects of the business and what the business is doing. So
Yeah.
that's a very valuable insight. Thanks.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you want to be successful, you have to be good at what you do, and you have to put in the effort to learn the things that are going to make you excellent, like above average. And it's just what you have to do.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So thanks again for taking time on a Saturday afternoon for you and spending time with me on and enlightening all our guests at Main Street Minds.
I'm glad. I hope to get some value out of it.
Thanks.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.